Hey guys, this is Delana Dixon of DivaGalsDaily.com. I'm here with Faruq Tauheed of Roots Less Traveled, a new show on NBC. Tell us exactly what the show is about. Let's start there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me first and foremost. Yeah, Roots Less Travel is it's an amazing show. We take two family members that are distant for one reason or another. Whether it's generational, like we have a lot of younger family members with an older family member, or sometimes it's distance. Sometimes we had a father and daughter. One lives in California, the other lives in Florida. So a lot of times all this space and distance kind of separates us. So we bring them together and help them to uncover their family history. I'm a host of the show for sure, but I like to call myself more like of a guide, because I'm guiding them on a treasure hunt, a genealogical treasure hunt, if you will, to help them to uncover just the most valuable stuff in their family history.
Oh my goodness. And that sounds so great. Is that one of the reasons you wanted to be involved with the show?
You know what, Delana, it's crazy because I had no idea about the show until they came to me and told me I booked it. It was a show I didn't audition for. My agent and casting director and stuff, they had my host reel from previous shows and stuff that I've done, and they submitted it to a production company, and it's just kind of been like a year process and them trying to find me a show. I didn't even know all this was going on behind the scenes. That's why it's very important to just keep striving, keep doing what you're doing, because you never know what's working behind the doors for you. You never know what's going on behind the scenes and where your name is being spoken. So yeah, for me, I was very, very glad to find out when I booked the job. Then I just had to find out what the job was about. So it was awesome.
Say yes and get all the information later. It's like
Absolutely. You know how it goes.
So of course this show sounds like it's going to be one that just has you like crying, you're going to need a lot of tissues. So
Oh
just
my
tell us
God.
about some of the places that you've gone and some of the things that people have learned about their history.
Absolutely. It's definitely an emotional show. Even myself, I got emotional a couple times because when you're going on these personal journeys and you're going to get a lot of historical information as well, you just kind of get attached. Whether you get attached to the people themselves and you kind of feel for them, or if you kind of get attached to just the story itself. A couple of the most amazing stories that we've come across. We had an adopted brother and sister that got together. They had found each other 3 years ago on Ancestry, but we brought them together and helped them take a deeper dive into their family history, and end up finding them in Mexico City. And the guy found out he had this whole Mexican heritage he didn't know about. Their story includes a real life Titanic story, like from the real Titanic. Like they had a family member who was a first class passenger as a Mexican, mind you, on the Titanic. I mean, us as black and brown people, we understand that that's a big deal.
That is pretty
Um,
big.
right, in the earlier 20th century, and he gave up his seat. He gave up his seat on a lifeboat to a woman
Wow.
because she was female. And he was like, you know what, you go on, and it was crazy. So it's just all those kinds of stories. I mean, we've been to Cuba, we've been to Nashville. In Nashville, I undercovered some historical stuff that was not quite accurate. We learned new stuff about history when it came to enslaved African Americans in this country, and how some a slave owner granted his enslaved people 111 acres of his 112.
Wow.
Now he had like 5, 6, 7 sons or something. He only gave one of his sons 1 acre and gave the enslaved family that he had 111 acres. His family took him to court, and 5, 6, 7 times they won in court. The black people won in court every time in the South pre-emancipation.
Wow.
So these were old white men that were deciding that these black people deserved to have this land in the South before Emancipation Proclamation. It was just mind blowing.
I mean, so many things you could find out about people. I'm telling you, I'm already like stocking up on my tissues because this is like the perfect Ben show. Now, it's sponsored by ancestry.com, right?
Right.
So obviously, you're working with them. Have you taken part and learned a little bit about your own background?
Absolutely. It's crazy. I got a crazy story, and I did also have an opportunity to do my own ancestry. And one of the things I love about ancestry is kind of like crowdsourcing. So if anybody in your family has already been a part of ancestry.com, they can go on and kind of develop the family tree for you. And like if you get the attachment, some of the work is already done. So for me, I was able to go down and see my father's line back down to my 4-time great grandfather.
Wow.
And that's amazing, not only being African American in this country for being able to go back that far, because a lot of our records were either erased or they try to make sure we didn't know who we were and all that kind of stuff. So to find that information was amazing, because I didn't even know my grandfather's name. So it was even emotional just seeing the name pop up on the family tree of who my 3rd great grandfather and 3rd great grandmother was. But the crazy story I had happened to me right around the time I was doing this show, got signed on to do the show. My cousin of mine had did a DNA test. He found out that he found his real father, and then ultimately found his grandfather. Now, remember that. So he's my cousin because he married a female cousin on my dad's side of the family. So he was like a cousin-in-law.
Yes.
Well, Delana, after finding out his ancestry, and he went and did found his real father and grandfather, his grandfather and my grandmother were brother and sister.
No.
So he was my cousin before he married my cousin on my dad's side.
Oh no.
So it's nothing crazy, no crazy like incest type thing. But my dad, I had a cousin on my dad's side, married a cousin on my mom's side, and that's what we found out probably about 6-7 months ago.
It sounds so exciting. And it seems like the perfect thing to be doing while you're in lockdown, to go on ancestry.com and learn about your past and connect with people. Now, you shot the first season of the show. Obviously, we're not doing a lot of traveling right now, but do you know if the show is coming back, and where are some of the places you would love to go to when it does come back?
Well, I love traveling. I'm a world traveler. If you guys check me out on social media, you'll see I've been a lot of places. Even right before this whole lockdown thing, I was over in Italy for 9 days. We went to Venice, Florence, and Rome. So being able to travel anywhere in the world, I would love for this show to take us there. We're still waiting to see if we got word on the 2nd season. I know things, the climate of the world. Yes, fingers crossed. Thank you. Fingers crossed, prayers up, whatever you do. But yeah, we're waiting to see if we get word on the 2nd season. Hopefully a lot of the fans out there are loving the show, and it's a positive thing, and we'll be able to bring it back. And like you said, during this time, there's no better time than right now. I know a lot of us are connecting with family and doing Zoom and all types of virtual meetings. Use this time now to really talk to those older family members in your life and really find out your family history, because it can really be so important.
Oh, good. Now, of course, the most important question, where can we see the show?
Yes, the show, Roots Less Travel, NBC on the weekends around the country. Check your local listings because the times do vary. We do have our final episode coming up this weekend. But there's good news. 2 pieces of good news. Number 1, any of our shows that you miss, you can check out on NBC.com or the NBC app. And if you don't have any access to those things and you still only have the TV, guess what? Our show is going to be rerunning and re-airing all throughout the rest of the summer. So you'll be able to catch all the episodes. And like you said, Delana, get those tissues ready.
Can you give us a little sneak peek of the final episode? What should we be looking for?
Yeah, so the final episode, we decided to take that. Our show is only probably about 22 minutes without commercials, 23 minutes. And even myself, when I'm watching the shows back, there's so much stuff that we did with these couples. There's so many different fun things and different historical facts we just didn't have time to jam pack into the half-hour show. The show needs to be an hour, NBC, Ancestry. Let's just make it happen, all right? So, so this final episode is just going to be a compilation of just like a lot of different things that we weren't able to fit in with our regular episodes. So our families will be seeing some highlights, kind of like a highlight episode.
Oh, that sounds perfect. It can kind of set us up to watch it all summer long.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. Make sure you Diva Gals check it out on NBC. Roots Less Travel this weekend and all summer long. Thank you so much, Faruq. We love talking with you.
No problem. Anytime you want to have me. And thank you to all the Diva Gals out there. I appreciate y'all.